Joining us today on LChaim is Eric Stillman, President and the CEO of Broward County Jewish Federation. Eric, I want to thank you for coming in today and being with us and being with the audience today. Tell us a little bit about what you do as CEO of Federation.
Sure. As President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Broward County, my responsibility is to be the professional leader and to provide direction for the Federation itself and for the Jewish community of Broward County as a whole.
So you oversee everything in the organization, the fundraising, the programming. Ultimately, your desk is where the buck stops.
Absolutely. It's really essential that the organization have one clear professional leader. That is me, and I accept that responsibility.
How long have you been in Jewish professional life?
This is about my 25th year, and I've enjoyed it tremendously, had the opportunity to work my way up through the ranks, as it were. And
you've been with Federation your entire career?
Yes, actually, I consider myself a lifer, as I would say. I've committed my professional life to working in Jewish Federation, and it's been a pleasure to serve a number of different Jewish communities.
Very good. Eric, one of the reasons we wanted to speak to you today, we all know that the recession, the economic downturn has affected, as it has our entire country, but certainly affected every Jewish institution, whether it be Federation or synagogues or Jewish communal and philanthropic organizations. Tell us a little bit, how do you perceive the trends the last couple of years? Is it getting any better now? Is it going to get better? What do you see?
Well, it appears that the hits that we took from a couple of years ago, essentially we have appeared to stabilize at this lower level, and we're waiting, as are many people, probably most people, to see that economic recovery occur. Until that happens, what we've done is we've learned to make adjustments, we've tightened our belt, we've become more efficient, decided how to prioritize among those programs and services that are most essential to fund, and we've had to make sacrifices in order to accommodate to the fact that the economy has not bounced back yet. And unfortunately, none of us has a crystal ball as to when that will occur.
So you're coping with these new trends by prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
And how has this affected your staff? Are you working with less staff than you used to?
Sure. Within the last couple of years, we had to substantially reduce the number of staff. In our case, the Federation reduced the staff by 47%. It's a substantial reduction, big. Almost half of the number of staff, and we've converted a number of positions from full-time to part-time, and we've had to make these adjustments and to rely more heavily on volunteers in order to still accomplish the work of the Federation and to do so more efficiently.
And do you feel that the volunteerism has been able to keep you at your programming levels that you want? You've been lucky with that?
I think we are very fortunate. We have many very dedicated, committed volunteers who have given of themselves, given extra time. The challenge, of course, is that as volunteers, these people have their own lives, they have professional lives, they have families and other responsibilities, and so we need them to step up in terms of when they can make themselves available, and we're fortunate to have been able to bring in more volunteers, particularly over the last couple of years, to try and increase our volunteer workforce.
And in terms of your actual budget, how do you think in the last 2 years, how much smaller has your budget become in percentage?
We've had about a 25% reduction over a 2-year period, and we felt it was necessary to do this to react to the change in the economy, the diminished number of people who have the ability to give. Many of our donors went from becoming contributors to being the needy recipients of services, and so we had to adjust accordingly.
And when you say you've had to prioritize your services to the community, what's remained at the top of the list?
What's actually gone to the top of the list are what we're referring to as dire needs: food, clothing, shelter, housing, child care assistance so working families can keep their jobs or look for jobs. Those have become top priorities. Caring for our indigent elderly, those are the areas where we have put our greatest emphasis. And we've had to diminish support in some cases for cultural programming, and cultural arts are important, but we feel that if somebody has to be able to eat or somebody has to be able to keep a roof over their head, that has to be the highest priority.
Now, I know many Jewish organizations are experiencing not only the downsizing, but merging and organizations working together and restructuring. Do you think this restructuring and merging is going to be good for the community? Will it have a positive outcome?
Well, I believe ultimately that out of a necessity, these changes are occurring, and so it's our job to manage that as best we can and to get the best possible outcome. I think that there are efficiencies that are being developed which might not have been there. We wouldn't have been forced to be as efficient and to look at these issues the way we have over the last couple of years. If we had never had the recession, a lot of people wouldn't have had to suffer, and so certainly nobody wishes the recession to have occurred, but it has, and so we have to simply figure out how to manage it as best as possible.
Now, federation is an umbrella for really national and multinational. Does federation exist in Canada? Also,
yes.
as we think of it, it's really a multinational organization. A lot of Jewish organizations aren't blessed with that, having such a big base. Do you think that there are going to be Jewish philanthropies that are just going to go the way of history? I mean, do you think there are philanthropies that are that close to? And if so, what do you see for the future? Are there going to be more merging? Because I think oftentimes we perceive that perhaps as a community, we've just made and created too many organizations that are competing for the same dollar. And as that dollar shrinks, the competition becomes fiercer, and ultimately someone's going to lose their funding. Where do you think that's going to go in the next couple of years?
Well, probably it's very evolutionary. What happens is that there's some contraction, and then also what happens is a vacuum can get created in a certain service delivery area. There's a certain programmatic need that's not getting filled. And so then, even despite the fact that there's been a recession, new organizations can crop up. They can become very organic and appear where the need exists, fill that vacuum. And so therefore, even in a time when there's contraction going on, there also can be an opportunity for new growth and creativity to occur. So it's probably too soon to tell where things are going to be over the next 2 years, but I would say over the next 5, 10 years or longer, we're going to see this process, this evolutionary process continue, and some of the institutions that we have taken for granted as always being there may evolve or become something else altogether. I think those that are community-based, like the Federation, I think will continue to exist because it always still serves a purpose for the population. But I think through people's creativity, new organizations may come out from what is otherwise a very difficult situation.
All right, very good. Eric, I want to thank you for being with us today, and I want to thank you for your community service, your lifetime service. And we only hope that things bounce back and all of our organizations are able to serve our community better than ever. Thanks for being with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Introducing the Chef Basket, the new cooking dynamo that transforms itself for dozens of everyday uses. Making pasta can be an adventure. Ouch! You have to grab tight with pot holders. Oh no! There must be a better way. But with the Chef Basket, you simply put in your pasta and put it in the pot. Now look, that water is rapidly boiling, but the specially designed handles are totally cool to the touch. Amazing! When the pasta's done, just grab the handles and go right from the pot to the plate. Leave that hot pot alone until it cools. Simply flip down the handles and it's a freestanding colander. Rinse your potatoes, flip the handles back up, and go right from the sink to the pot. Cook in the Chef Basket and go right from the pot to the plate. It's that easy. Flip it over and it stays above the water for perfectly steamed veggies every time. The uses are endless. Cook shellfish like succulent shrimp, blanch broccoli to perfection. Cook hard-boiled eggs and go right from the pot to ice water. Always intact, never a crack. It's also the ultimate deep fryer. Simply drop in your French fries and cook. Even in hot bubbling oil, the handles remain cool to the touch. It's so easy with the Chef Basket. It takes the place of all these clunky items, but the Chef Basket folds flat like this for easy storage anywhere. The Chef Basket is a must for any kitchen. A tremendous value at just $14.99. Order today and find out about free shipping. But call right now and we'll double the offer. That's 2 for the price of 1. But you also get the amazing Everlast Chef Knife. It never needs sharpening. The razor-sharp blade goes through a nail and still slices a tomato wafer thin. You can cut right through bone, slice meat like a deli machine, zip through vegetables with ease. You get 2 Chef Baskets plus the Everlast Knife. An incredible value, all for just $14.99. Remember, call right now and find out about free shipping.
Call 1-800-608-5161 to get your Chef Basket and get a bonus Chef Basket, a Chef Guide, and the Everlast Chef Knife with your order. So call 1-800-608-5161 and find out about free shipping. That's 1-800-608-5161. Call now.
Joining us today on LChaim is Mr. Robert Solomon. Robert has been the immediate past chair now of the Southeast Seaboard District of United Synagogue. He is currently the chairman for Youth Services for United Synagogue and has been involved in the organization for 25 years. Robert, I want to thank you and welcome you to LChaim. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
You know, your bio I just gave the audience says everything. You have spent literally a lifetime in service to the Jewish community as a volunteer. And I would like to, first of all, just tell our audience a little bit how you became so involved.
Well, I saw back in the 60s when I was a member of USY, of course, United Synagogue Youth, which is just a great, great organization, being able to engage our young people to be our future leaders. And as a part of that, I just loved the program so much at that time, and then...
So you're the world's oldest USYer.
Yes, I am. I've been asked to be in Hazak, which is our
Senior
55 and
program.
older, but I said I can't be in Hazak and USY at the same time, so I choose USY.
All right, very good. 25 years is a long time to volunteer in any organization and for any cause. What keeps the fire burning?
Actually, the youth program. That's one thing that gives me the energy to want to keep a part of United Synagogue, to know that this is our future. It's the future of our movement.
And I know you're active in your synagogue as well, serving on the board there and in many capacities. And I want to move to your dual roles, I guess, as a lay leader and also as a lay person sitting there in the pews. The last couple of years have been very challenging to the Jewish community. We're not alone in that, but it has certainly, the economic downturn has impacted all of our institutions and all of our programs, those like United Synagogue Youth that we passionately believe in, but it's a challenge to keep them going. I want to ask you, what new strategies have you seen coming out of the work that you do to cope with this downturn and still provide the services and the programming that are so important to you?
Well, right now, we're within United Synagogue going through a strategic planning process, something that will be rolled out hopefully in the next several weeks through our board of directors and the committee that has been working very heavily on this for the past almost 2 years. We have to look at ways not only of making ourselves relevant, but in trying to get people engaged, try to keep them engaged. And we always talk about several portals of entry for our congregants. We need to keep those going, but not only, we need to really understand something, that today in our congregations, and it's no longer the idea of being the synagogue of your parents any longer. It's more or less what was my synagogue with my parents is different now for my children. Things have really taken a dramatic shift, and it's happened probably over the past 10 to 15 years, where we were once called, you would affiliate for identity. Now it's affiliating for a purpose. And we have to not only find a way of engaging.
So what do you think that purpose is that younger people are affiliating? Because we know affiliation is a real challenge, and for our audience here in South Florida, it's a very, very big challenge. What's hooking people in? Why are they committing to, for instance, synagogues?
Well, a lot of them want something on I think, on what you call a smaller basis, rather than the huge synagogues of the past where there might be 2,000 members. Some people are looking for things on a smaller, more intimate, social atmosphere where they can get together and be able to do smaller programs and not have the bigness there that a lot of the synagogues have.
Okay, but in the restructuring, although we're looking at, you say, models of smaller being better, do you also see with your work in United Synagogue that congregations are having to merge? They're having to work together more and more, if not physically and financially and legally merging. Do you see that happening?
Yes, I do. And what we're finding is, and to get away from people thinking, okay, we're not going to move out of this area, we need to be here because this is where our congregation base is. Some might have to move to other areas and try to be able to envelop a larger group. It might be 2 synagogues, it might be 3 synagogues that could do the merger. But what they have to understand is they have to get away for, as we always talk about, turf and being able to mold themselves a little bit differently, because in order to survive, they're going to have to get along that way.
I, as a congregational rabbi, I know that very often this is a real identity crisis. People resist merging. They resist when logic and everything else tells them that this is the new move they need to make. They resist it because it's identity, it's who we are, it's who we've been, the traditions of the congregation. Do you think people are becoming more open to dealing with that reality?
They are, but it takes a lot of work. It takes something to be able to tell them that they need to really look at it as the future of where we might be headed.
And as a leader in United Synagogue, what are you doing organizationally to get that message across, to help people with the shock, if you will?
Well, we try to keep them aware of what's happening and to know that if we don't move forward in that direction, we'll be sadly behind and not be able to move ahead to get our groups cohesive.
Very good. Robert, I want to thank you for joining us today. Friends, our guest has been Robert Solomon, representing United Synagogue, and we thank him for his work in the community and particularly keep the fires burning for our young people, because that is, as we know, the future of the Jewish community and Judaism itself. Robert, thank you for being here. We appreciate it greatly.
Thank you. My pleasure.
That's it for this episode. For all the latest information on our show, please visit our website at LChaim.com or visit our new Facebook page. I'm Lee Lazarson. Thanks for joining us on To Life, LChaim.